Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my Vlogmas Day 13, and in this video I'm going to wrap up the 3 readathons that I participated in the first 2 weeks of December. There was the Benchathon readathon, which was to read books from your shelves that have been on there forever. There was the Around the Year in 52 Books, and that is almost over, so I was trying to do that challenge. And the third readathon was the A Yearathon readathon, which was to read graphic novels, comics, children's books, stuff like that. So for the first week, which was the Benchathon, there was 7 challenges, and the first challenge was to read a book with red, white, or green on the cover. I chose I Hunt Killers by Barry Lyga. I read 1 page and then I put it down. This book is very good, but I was just distracted by World of Warcraft. That's going to be a theme for the rest of the month because I'm getting more into gaming. I am trying to still read. I'm trying to do both. It's a battle. It's a struggle. I'm trying to do the 2 things that I love. So anyways, this was also a challenge to read the book that has been on your shelves the longest. Again, 1 page, and then of course I didn't finish the book for the 52 book challenge. So hopefully I can finish it this month. I do have it on audio, and I don't have any excuses. I have it on audio. I should be listening to it while washing dishes and doing laundry and all that stuff. The next challenge for the Benchathon was to read a book from an author that is new to you. So that book was Eileen Cook's With Malice, and another challenge that this fit was to read a standalone. Now, I have continuously read this book for the last 2 weeks. I am currently on chapter 15, which is 150. I love this book so far. What makes me really sad is that her parents don't believe her, and that's like one of my, not pet peeves, but like one of the things that really gets to me as a parent. I'm like, you really have to trust your children. Sometimes they lie, yes, but back them up wholeheartedly. If they do something super naughty, if my children did something super naughty, I would say they didn't. I would deny it. I don't even care. Like, as their parent, I would never say, oh yeah, they totally did it. Take them away. Like, it makes me so sad. Anyways, I cannot wait to finish this. I've been reading, I think, a chapter a day. I'm trying to, I don't know, drag it out because it's really good, and I feel anxious while I'm reading it, so I can only do it in small doses. All right, and then the last couple challenges was to read a genre that you normally don't read a lot of, and I chose mangas because I think I've only read like 10 mangas this year. So this is Monster Volume 2. I did not even pick this up. My bad. This was also to fit the challenge to read a book that had snow in it, which I totally cheated and, flipped it upside down because I didn't have any W's in the books that I was planning on reading. Yeah, and then the last challenge was to read 7 books again. I didn't complete any of that. On to the positive. For the A Yearathon readathon, I was able to read a lot of books. So for the A Yearathon readathon, I did complete 5 graphic novels. So go me. I am still going to continue on reading the ones that I did pick out for this readathon. I will pick up one every single day. That's how I did this one. I think I just took turns. One from the library, one from my stack, one from the library, again, one from my stack. So let's talk about these. The first graphic novel that I read during the A Yearathon readathon was The Mind Gap, Volume 2, Wish You Were Here by McCain and Esquijo. Esquijo also illustrated the Morning Glories graphic novel series, so if you like those, you might like this one. Illustration wise, this story is actually kind of similar, as in I have no idea what the hell is going on. So there's the main character, Elle. She's in a coma, and she is trying her darndest to get her best friend Joe to realize that she's not actually in a coma. And she's talked to Joe in a dream, and Joe's very kind and has actually believed Elle that she's actually talking to her in her dream. But this book is very, like, complicated, just like the Morning Glories. Like, there's so many things going on. There is a conspiracy going on. The entire family is involved. Elle doesn't know anything about it, but in her coma state, like, she's kind of like beyond, in like another dimension. Not in limbo. There are other people's consciousness around her, but she's trying to piece together what's going on there, and she has a helper, and I don't know where this man came from, but it's all very confusing, but also very interesting, so I cannot wait to continue with this series. I do have the third one on my wish list, so hopefully soon I can buy it. The next book that I read from my collection was a new one that I just purchased, and that was Oink, Heaven's Butcher by John Mueller. Now this book, I had no idea, so I didn't read anything about it before I purchased it. I had no idea what this book was about. It kind of reminded me of Animal Farm. It also kind of reminded me of some like religious texts that I've read. I have all this information, of course, down in my Goodreads review. The link is down below. But basically it's about a pig hybrid. So he's half man, half swine. And, oh, Sin City. That's what it reminded me of. So there is a main leader of this dystopian town. His name is the Cardinal. And he has created these hybrids as slaves because they're powerful and strong and all of that. And they're dumb animals, so they won't ask questions. But Oink here, he does ask questions. And so he is then now an enemy. And he's trying to get more enlightened. And so he meets a person named Mary, and she tells him that the world has not always been like this, and he wants to see the world as it was. And so he retaliates. And it's just so good. There are the cardinals, so there's the head religious people. There are their minions. They are the angels of mercy. So they're kind of like zombie men, kind of. And they all have religious names, which is... they're the soldiers. They all have religious names, so there's Judas and other ones. I don't want to go into it because I can't remember. But yeah, so those are all of the pictures. I thought it was very interesting. I gave it 3 stars. I loved the illustrations. Like I said, it's kind of like a religious-based graphic novel where men take the role of God and strike fear and pain on the weak. And yeah, I don't know. I liked it. The next book that I read, which was just a couple days ago, was The Graveyard Book Volume 1 by Neil Gaiman. And I have read this book before. I actually own it. But for some reason, I didn't remember anything from the book. Like, anything. So I must have read it very, very quickly. But yeah, I loved the illustrations. It was so nice. I totally forgot about Bod's guardian, which is so weird. I knew he went somewhere in this story, but I forgot where and with whom. I forgot about the teacher that took the guardian's place when he went away for a little while. So yeah, it was very strange how much I forgot. And I'm glad I got to reread it in the illustrated graphic novel form. And I am going to be borrowing Volume 2 if it's available at my library very soon. Alright, the next graphic novel I read was Saga Volume 6. You heard me rant about it in yesterday's video. I loved I loved this volume. I loved this volume. There are, I'm not going to show you any graphic pictures. There are new characters that we meet. That's the teacher. I think she's very funny. What else? Here is some fighting. So I don't want to show any more in case it's a spoiler. But we do meet new characters, but we also meet all of the old characters. So it's kind of like a regrouping. So we get to hear what's happened to all of the characters so far and what they're doing at this point in time. And the ending was amazing. I loved the ending. I don't know why. I just really did. And so I cannot wait to read volume 7, which comes out in 2017. So excited. All right, and then the last graphic novel that I read during those readathons was Giant Days, Volume 2 by Allison Tremaine Surian and Kogar. I love these girls. If you didn't know, these 3 girls are at the same college. I don't believe they actually live in the same room, but they are best friends and they get into a lot of shenanigans, and they're all very dramatic, and I love them to death. I wish they were all my best friends. They are so stinking funny. I love them all. I really do. And I am definitely going to continue on with this series. All right, and I did actually finish 2 novels in the last 2 weeks. They didn't fulfill any of the challenges for any of the 3 readathons that took place, but I did read them, so I wanted to talk about them really quickly. And the first one is The Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. I listened to the audio version. This was a full cast. It took a long time to read. I gave this book 3.5 stars. Let me tell you, okay, I loved Fight Club. I loved how gritty it was, how it was very, like, vulgar and gruesome at times, but I could relate to it, or at least I knew people that could relate to the book. So I had some kind of inkling on what was going on. In this one, it was so bizarre. It was just so bizarre. So there is a main story about 17 strangers who go on a writing retreat with a mysterious man, and they're all locked in this place for the 3 months so that way they can write. And that means that they don't have any cell phones. They couldn't contact any of their family members. It's like a getaway, you know, so that way they can fully concentrate on what they want to write. And then within that main story is I don't know how many there are, like 27, like mini stories and poems written by the actual strangers while they're at this retreat. And every single story is gruesome and hideous, and I only liked one, which was about a Sasquatch, but the other ones were just, they weren't written terribly. They were just terrible stories. It was just gross. Okay, so if you have heard about this book, which it's famous for the story Guts, and in the very back of the book, let me show you. In the very back of the book, it has this thing, this epilogue, and it's called The Guts Effect. And I read it, and it was very interesting. So it's about Chuck going on a tour of the United States, a book tour, you know, showing off this book and talking about the story Guts and how so many people fainted. I think he said 27 people fainted on this book tour just by reading the story Guts. Guts was absolutely so gross. It was just so gross. And yeah, so this collection of fake short stories are famous for that book, for that story itself, Guts, which is about a man and some intestines and a pool, and that's all I'm gonna say. Gross. So yeah, all of the stories are kind of like that. Very gross and just not nice stories. But I love Chuck's writing, and so yeah, I will never read this again because it was so gross. But I think other people would enjoy it. So if you haven't read Haunted yet and you want to, I would definitely pick it up. Disclaimer, most of the stories in here are disgusting. So yeah, I read that. And the very last book I finished in the last 2 weeks is Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carriger. I started this in November, finished it in December. I'm absolutely in love with this series already. It is the prequel to the Parasol Protectorate. Its main character, Sophronia, is going to a finishing school that trains their girls to be assassins and also to be very ladylike. She meets a bunch of people at this school. Two of them are actually characters from the Parasol Protectorate series, but they are young in this book, and so that's very exciting for me to be able to see them as they are little. And we also learn about some of the inventions that we see in the Parasol Protectorate series, but we see them not currently made yet, so they're like in the progress of being completed. And so yeah, I love being back in this world, and I can't wait to continue on with this series. So this is all of the completed books that I read in the last 2 weeks. And yeah, let me know down below if you've read any of these books, what you thought of them, what graphic novels should I pick up next. And that is it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!